we've been living off of debt since 2000. Coming out of the 90s, the US economy literally was working on its own. We had a balanced budget in 98 and we had growth. But that was it. 98 is when this economy peaked. But since then, we've had 25 years of basically a Potemkin economy that we've been managing.
Mhm.
I mean, you go back to Bernanke. Bernanke was kind of the first QE guy. He's the guy that created the bubble in housing. He was that original QE to the max kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then he was the guy that was there in 2007 and 8 when we adopted MMT. So Bernanke, in some respects, I mean, they put him on the cover of Time magazine, called him the master of the universe. When in actuality, he destroyed the economy. It was the exact opposite. Von Mises, he would have basically been cringing on these choices that we were making in the early 2000s. It's cringing, going, "Oh man, you don't realize what you've done here. You don't know the damage that you've actually done." I actually believe that when this economy when this 15-year bull market ends and the economy goes in recession, I really believe that we will not recover. That's what debt bubbles do. When debt bubbles finally do pop, they just eviscerate everything. And that's what's coming. When I say we're not going to recover, I mean in our current financial system. For instance, I think that the bond market, the U.S. is going to end up defaulting on its debt, which is going to create a reset of some type. The U.S. dollar is going to get reset. Our banking system is going to get reset. In other words, we're going to end up with a new financial system. That's my belief. So in other words, this isn't going to be your dad's recession or your dad's business cycle. This is going to be a whole new animal. And that's the reason why gold has a floor under it, because people can see this, that things are teetering and that it won't take much to literally for the house of cards to roll over. The mainstream media, everybody's saying everything is great. For instance, I watch the CNBC halftime show every morning. When I wake up, I tape it and I stretch in the morning. I'm an old man now, so I got to stretch. And I stretch in the morning and I watch it the first 10 minutes, and I usually have 3, 4, what they call the committee members. And they're all bullish. They all run money. And today, I mean, it was unbelievable how bullish they are. I'm all bulled up. I mean, I heard that's why I'm bulled up. Because Judge, I'm bulled up. What do you mean saying I'm and the only one that's, I mean, none of them think that there's any problems. Everybody thinks everything's rosy on mainstream media. You have to go outside of mainstream media to people like me, Luke Groman, Druckenmiller, Jeremy Grantham, some of these other voices that are talking about this instability. I mean, Jeremy Grantham, as far as he's concerned, he considers this the most dangerous stock market in his lifetime. And he's been around a while.
Yeah. Right. Well, let's talk about the gold and silver stocks. Maybe not specifically, but as a whole. We had a really good mini crash, really in the start of November, probably just right before the election. And I used it a great time to add to some of my favorite names. What's your opinion on that? And do you think that the most recent weakness, really since maybe mid-November through December, was just tax loss selling? And how do you view this pullback?
Yeah, so I'm a long-term investor. I don't believe that you should invest in gold and silver miners for 12 to 24 months, 1 to 2 years. I just don't think it works. I just think it's too volatile. You mentioned this mini correction. So in October, we had the HUI all the way up to 350, and today it traded down to 270. It traded down. I saw it 275, and that closed it a little higher. It closed at 275 today. So we went from 350 to 275. Definitely a correction and opportunity to buy. And I've actually been buying. And so I'm a long term. Like a lot of people, why? What do why accumulate? So I accumulate. I actually did 2 videos. You go to my YouTube channel where I went over the producers that I own, and it was 70 stocks, and it was an hour video. And then I went over all the developers I own, and there was 50 of those. So I go over 120 names in 2 hours. And so those are the 2 areas that I have the most conviction for, that I think have the best risk reward. And so I go over them. So I show you the ones that I have the highest conviction on. So it's some Christmas present for you guys. And so, yeah, I've been buying the dip here, buying opportunities. And that's what I do. I'm like a collector of stocks. So there's 120 right there. A collector. So what I do is I accumulate. I'm not a trader at all. I don't trade. I don't think in terms of 12 to 24 months. I think in terms of 3 to 5 years. When I buy a stock, it's 3 to 5 years. You got to be patient in this business, in this sector. I'm a speculator. I'm just accumulating these stocks because I don't know which ones are going to work. It's almost impossible. It's just so many unknowns. You just don't know. A good example, like Victoria Gold. I mean, it looked like a really good stock, a really good property, and they had a slip on their leach pad, and it went bankrupt, just like that, snap of a finger. So you just never know what's going to happen. So what I do, I just use low allocations, 0.25% to 1%, and accumulate stocks, accumulate shares, and then wait for $4,000 gold. And I believe we're going to get $4,000 gold. So that's what I'm investing for, targets. So if you take $4,000 gold and you put a 40 to 1 GSR, which is what we had in 2011, we had a 39. So you take 4,000, you put a 40 on it, you get $100 silver. Most people think $100 silver, you're crazy. There's no way. Well, in 2011, we had a 39 GSRs. I see no reason why we're not going to have one again. So I think $4,000 gold and $100 silver are legitimate targets. And that's what I invest for long term. But yeah, right now, ideally, I like to buy when the HUI, which is an index for the majors, when the HUI is below 250, that's when I like to buy. I consider 250 the neutral zone. And when it goes above 250, I pause, I kind of slow down. But the only reason I've been aggressive now is because I feel this is the last opportunity, last chance. But over this 5-year period, when we went over 250, I really slowed down because I just didn't feel like we're breaking out here. And we went over 300 a few times, and every time we went all the way back under 200. We were under 200 on the HUI in October, and we were under 200 again in February. And that's when you load the boat. For me, I use the HUI, so 250 is kind of my neutral area. Below 250 is kind of a buy opportunity. Below 225 is aggressive, and then below 200 is a load the boat area. So that's kind of what I use, but I've been more aggressive lately from 250 to 350. I will not buy above 350. I won't. That's my cutoff zone, 350, and we actually touched it. And so I'm buying now below 350. I'll be a buyer until we get above 350.